Welcome to the Thursday edition of Don Cherry's Grapevine podcast. Hope everybody's enjoying it, and if you do, please hit subscribe or follow us. And Dad, you were with many coaches in your career, and one of the guys,
Too many.
Yes, and one of the guys that you've told many stories about was when you were with Barry Hapems.
Hapems. What was Hapems for? And I remember your mom, my grandmother, talk about Hapems.
Yeah,
She wasn't a big fan, I don't think.
No, she wasn't. No, none of the.
So what was the nickname for?
Well, I'll tell you, it was from Detroit. He played in Detroit. He was playing in the National Hockey League, and he really had a face like a bulldog. He was not. And they, you know how a guy they said, well, a great big guy, they call him tiny. I mean, that's the way they call him Happy, and it's a short for Happy M's. And he was never happy. I never saw him happy. But when I was there, all I heard about, and all the defensemen, especially, was it Lewicki, Danny Lewicki. How do you think you'd rank against Danny Lewicki if you want to go to the National Hockey League? How about Danny Lewicki? And everybody got sick of that name, Danny Lewicki. And I looked him up after, boy, could he fly. I mean, today's hockey, he would be a sensation. Danny Lewicki, that's all we heard. And, I looked up his record, and when he was playing junior, the only guy that ever did it, he won the Memorial Cup with the Port Arthur Bruins when he was 17. When he was 19 years old, he played for the Toronto Marlboros. He won the Allen Cup, which, was really something to win the Allen Cup. And at 20 years old, he won the Stanley Cup. He won all those cups when he was a junior. I mean, that is unbelievable. And boy, could he fly. And I always remember Danny Lewicki, the name Danny Lewicki always stuck in my, and it's a great hockey name, Danny Lewicki.
I remember just one story about Hapems. You always said he smoked a pipe, right?
Smoked a pipe all the time, yeah.
So we were shooting, your movie of your life in Winnipeg when we were doing your miniseries, and we had the actor. And nobody smokes a pipe now.
No. They always look so good, guys smoking a pipe.
It always smells.
They're always good guys in the movies.
Well, and you look smarter.
Yeah.
And it smells nice, too.
And so this guy, he was smoking a pipe at Eagles. So he had him, he was sitting back. And this is when you could tell the story when you got caught. People thought you were drinking, and then you got caught. So he's sitting there, and he's smoking the pipe. And the guy goes, "You got one more take?" He says, I can't smoke a pipe. I can't. He goes, I don't do it. But everybody, I remember all the women on the set going, "Boy, does that ever smell good?"
They used to have.
You had an Uncle Bill. Remember Uncle Bill?
Uncle Bill, and a guy in a movie, you knew he was a good guy right off the bat if he smoked the pipe. The big, and if he smoked a cigar, he was a bad guy. Well, not a bad guy, but a guy with a cigarette. A tough guy, always smoked a cigarette. They don't do anything now. But Hapems, and I remember when, long stories, I will go into that, but I always remember, and you people that remember guys that smoke pipe, they used to go, when they smoke, they used to make, and I remember he suspended me, I won't go into that. But anyhow, I remember when he used to smoke a pipe, you could hear him a mile away. Smoking.
Well, they do that to get it going, don't they? When they're lighting
he
it?
always did. They remember a guy would have a pipe. He'd have a match, and every time he'd suck it in, the thing would fly like that. Anyhow, Danny Lewicki was a great guy, and he always felt he only played 9 seasons. Imagine he only played 9 seasons, but he was a kid that everybody used to talk about that could fly. Back in the 1950s, boy, and we were so sick of hearing his name, Danny Lewicki.
Dad, I was cleaning out my storage unit the other day with Del here, and I had some old hockey sticks. I think they were Victoriaville. There was one that you played with. I even had a wooden stick that had ore on it. Can you imagine? I can't tell people where that storage unit is.
Was it a Coho? I think, no, it's Victoriaville.
It was a Victoriaville. Yeah, Del couldn't believe it. All wood. It even had the tape. It had the one
Well, Al
thing.
McInnes, I don't know whether it was true or not, but Al McInnes, the last time out, had over 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, in the All-Star game with a wooden stick.
So what's this Graphite?
I remember when he used to shoot, everybody used to get out of the way. He used to keep it low, though.
Yeah, except for that time we talked about it when he hit, who was it, the goalie, knocked Liut.
Oh,
But hit him in the head, knocked his mask
Must
off.
have been a tip-off because he always kept the shot low. You know, at one time, all the sticks were CCM. All the sticks, all the skates, everything was CCM. I remember if you got your tackleberries and you couldn't afford them when you were young, but once you got your tackleberries, you call them tacks, you knew you had it made.
I still remember you getting me my first CCM tax.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I remember it was in Boston. It was around the Gardens, and they had leather, like it was leather bottoms, like they were kangaroo hide, I think. Bottoms.
You know what they used to do? You know what the guys used to do?
Is that an urban myth? They used to soak them in water that they would mold to your feet.
When I first started, we used to stand in hot water.
Yeah, I was gonna.
And the leather used to mold to your feet. The only way you could do it. Now they have guys coming in and they blow it up and everything, and they have the whole deal, and they mold to the feet. But let me tell you first of all about the leather skates. That the guys used to make it stiff. They used to take it to a shoemaker by themselves, and they'd have it all sewn up the side because they liked it stiff. They liked the skates stiff. And if you see a picture of Bobby Orr, remember that picture we had of a big cartoon? His skates are at an angle because he liked them loose like that there. But anyhow, let me just tell you about CCM. CCM had it made. Everybody ordered CCM. Everybody had a tax, and then they got lazy. What happened is they never ordered. When you order a stick, you had to wait. You wanted sticks. You wanted skates. Everything was there. You had to wait because they had it made. And all of a sudden, I saw Northland coming in. It was this guy kind of nuts playing Northland, and they took over. I think the Christian Brothers Christian Brothers, and they took over the whole deal. And then the skates were, but everybody still wanted tackleberries. Everybody wore tacks. And I remember in Rochester, Joe Crozier, who was a general manager and coach, and the owner of it, we found out later, he come in and he piled them in, and we were all wearing tacks at the time. He said, "There is the Bobby Bauer skates." And I remember they were called Black Panthers. And he said, you either wear these skates or you buy your own. Well, we didn't. I mean,
well, that's a good motivator.
Yeah, well, tackle, and we all bought our own, and we went. Then Bauer come out with pretty good skates. The next year they come out with a better skate, and that's what happened. That's what happened to CCM. Like they lost the business. They had the business wrapped up. They really did have the business wrapped up, but they lost it all when they order. And I remember then Sherwood came in. Remember Sherwood?
Yep. Sherwood sticks. You know, the funny thing is, I guess the composite sticks now, they make them completely to order. So they're like, your stick is a stick is a stick because I guess they're made. But when the sticks used to come in, when they were wooden with the Bruins and they open them up, the players would go through, and some of the sticks they liked, and some of the sticks.
I remember Brad Park telling a story about Brad Park. When I was in Rochester, I was general manager coach, and we couldn't have a model, but we could get a model like a model. So I lined up the right and right and left sticks, and all the left. We had mostly left-hand guys, and they come up. They all picked Park stick, Brad Park. He was an all-star, and it just had a nice curve on it, the whole deal. And I told Park when he was in Boston, I said, you know what we did? It's no wonder every time I ordered sticks, I'd get the worst sticks in the world. They were making 9,000 Park models. And we'd line them up, and you'd take a Park model, the whole deal. And I remember Sherwood, the guy came in, I forget the guy's name. He lost his eye playing hockey. I forget what his name. Anyhow, he was representative. Now, everybody wanted a stiff stick. Yeah, I want it stiffer, and I want it lighter. Stiffer, lighter. Stiff, lighter. Everybody. So we had a guy named Gary Doak from Goderich, Ontario. Remember Gary Doak? Yeah, and we call it the Gary Doak system. Is that one day he wanted his pants changed, and he was afraid to tell the trainer. He told the trainer, and the trainer kept giving him a hard time because he knew Gary, and Bobby Schmatz come in, and who was sort of like the straw boss, and he says, Gary wants a new pair of pants. And I call the trainer in. I said, give him a new pair of pants. I'm telling you, he's a fussy guy, and he's a little nuts. He says he wants this and he wants that. And so now he gets the new pants. He doesn't like the new pants. So he comes to Schmutz. They had to give him his old pants back. So anyhow.
But no, tell the real story. He was afraid to tell you.
Yeah.
That he was afraid because now he didn't like his pants. And so they were afraid to tell you that he wanted his old pants back and he didn't know if the trainer had thrown them out or not.
No, it wasn't. He was afraid to tell the trainer. Trainer knew him. He would have kept the pants. Mm. So Schmutz came in and he says, Gary Doak doesn't like his new pants. I said, give him his old pants back and the whole deal. So there was nothing. So anyhow, getting back to the sticks, they come back to the sticks. Here it is. He said, everybody poor guy, come. I want it stiffer and I want it lighter. I want it stiffer. And he come into the dressing room, or he come into my office and he said, that's it, I'm quitting. He said, that's it, I'm sick and tired. Everybody I go wants a stiffer. He says, I come to this guy named Gary Doak on your camp. He says, it's too stiff and it's too light. He said, I'm quitting. He said, that's it. I said, I explained to him about Gary Doak. Anyhow, CCM had them all. And they were, and let me tell you something, boy. It was everybody used the CCM. First, I saw Northland coming in, and then now they have the whole bunch of things. But I have to tell you one more story. That 2 stories I have to tell you about this. Like you said, Tim, at the start, that I was sitting in the Montreal Forum in the dressing room, and off to the side there's a little room that had a vise. And it was always dark in there, and they were working. And it was a playoff, and it was a morning skate of a playoff game. And so I'm sitting there and minding my own business. And Terry O'Reilly, Irish guy, had a hacksaw. He's cutting it off, and he wanted to use the vise. And Bobby Schmutz had a blowtorch going, and he wanted to use the vise. And they were arguing. And they were getting madder and madder. And I said, here's 2 guys, day of the game, one with a hacksaw and one with a blowtorch. I think they were going to use it on each other. I had to go in and break it up. It was but I have one more story to tell you about sticks. Bobby Orr never sat down in between periods. Never. Every time, when I first took over, where is he? He's out fixing the sticks. And he'd be out there working on his sticks all the time, because they were not, like you said, like the composite sticks that come through now. They
don't do anything with them.
And before, and we must go on how Bobby Hull and all them guys, and they used to put them indoors and twitch them, put them in steamers and the whole deal. So Bobby used to work on a stick, and this is a true story. So when I first went there, after he came in just before, and I walk and I'd see this. I'm telling you, there wasn't an inch, there wasn't 1/8 of an inch taken off the end, and I'd see this on the floor. So so finally I said to Frosty Forstall, the assistant trainer, I said, who is a goofball that is cutting off a quarter or an 1/8 of an inch off a stick between each period? He said, Bobby Orr. Oh, I said, isn't that interesting?